Hello, it's Peter Wright and Kathleen Beauvais in Ontario, Canada, with episode number 8 of the Yakking Podcast. This is where we talk about life, business, and more, and we bring you tips and ideas for a changing world. And right now, the world is certainly changing. We have another interesting guest for you today, but I'm going to hand over to Kathleen and ask her to introduce her. Getting mixed up. Morning, Kathleen. Over to you.
Hello, Peter, and welcome, everyone. Yes, we do have a special guest with us today. Her name is Andrea Kiff, and she is the owner of Ajardesigns Inc. And Andrea, welcome. Tell us a little more about what your business is all about.
Thank you, Kathleen, for the introduction. So Ajardesigns Inc., design printer promotions. I work with everything from business cards to banners to, all sorts of wonderful products, pens, mugs, USB sticks. So I work with basically with businesses, I won't say small businesses, but realistically any business, to make them look great, to promote themselves, to get their logos and their look out there so that people see their business, understand their branding, so that they're visible and proud to represent their business.
Right. And go ahead, Peter.
No, I was just going to say that's quite a bit. And I know that I've seen quite a few of Andrea's designs and inventions, for want of a better term, and she comes up with some really unique stuff. Do you had another question there, Kathleen?
No, I was just going to ask her how she even got into this business.
Gosh. Well, I, many years ago, actually, when I'd gone to school, I took advertising. And so when I did that, and that was mid-90s. The world was very different. It was a very different environment just in general. And I never really expected to be a small business owner like I always had wanted to be, but it ended up happening. It sort of evolved from an idea I had in college. And so, just work experience, different life experiences, and just absorbing along the way, all these roles I've been in, sort of took me to a situation in 2006 where I thought I need a major change in my life, and started Ajardesigns Inc. as mostly just as a print broker. So basically dealing with printing and design, like really simple, and I didn't really know how it was going to evolve from there. But at the time, I had printing experience, I had design experience, and I had general business knowledge. So that's what it's sort of evolved from. It started very simply, and I started, and I know it's something we will talk about a bit later, but I started networking amongst peers and different businesses in 2006. And that was probably what propelled me forward, just in general, overall, saying, okay, this is what clients need. So I went by what people need and what they asked for, and that's what grew the business.
Well, thanks for that, Andrea. And we're doing this interview right now amidst this world crisis that we're experiencing. So, can you tell the viewers and listeners exactly how your world has changed right now and your business has changed in the last several weeks?
Well, it's I think the hard part for me, who I love interacting with people, is not being able to physically see my clients, interact with people on a regular basis. That's been the hard part. However, I've been doing a lot of this type of thing, talking to people through videos and talking on the phone, and it's been different, but I find we're still trying to keep those connections. Now, I assume, so when you're talking about the business side of things, I've had a few suppliers, so some of my printers, and it sounds like quite a few of my promotional product suppliers have shut down because it's unsafe for them to work. They're not an essential service, so they are not currently operating. But the ones that have been amazing to work with, and they're very explicitly laying out the ground rules for this is how we're operating. This is the environment we're in now. And so they've really helped me to adapt to being able to place orders for client products and have them directly shipped to my client. So, and if it's something that ends up in my hands, obviously I'm very careful, do the whole ring the doorbell and run kind of thing. However, if I can wave to people from a very long distance, I will do that. So it's changed. Just general interactions are just, it's different. And not actually being able to offer certain products and services. However, I would say probably 75% of what I typically offer is still available. So I'm very, very lucky that I've got these product offerings. It's just changed how I deliver them. And I can't show. My other thing is I as you've seen me in the past, I will bring my bag of tricks with me. I've got bags of pens and samples and this, that, and the other thing. And I can't do that in person right now. But if somebody wants to see something, I can definitely do demos through video. So again, it changes things when I've got a business where the products are something people want to touch and feel and see how they work, because they want to know if a pen, how does it feel? Does it write nicely? So it definitely changes how or what people are going to ask for, because they're probably going to ask for something that they're familiar with, and it's going to be more simple products. But that's okay. I think it's evolving, and people are still going to use some of these products, but it's definitely evolving. So I just have to be ready if somebody asks for something, to be prepared to be able to say, hey, yes, let's do a demo online.
And I guess I think we're going to look at what's happening further ahead in a moment, but just a quick one. I guess the nature of things that people are ordering is going to change, because right now, if you were to do custom printed golf tees, we don't know how many months it's going to be before they can be used. But, pens we use every day, right? Decorated post-it pads. I'm just looking on my desk now. Things like that. Little timers we're using all the time when working from home. So I guess the focus of what you get asked for is going to change quite a bit.
Absolutely. I've got a real estate client right now, and we've placed an order for some magnets, because she mails them out when she does her touch points with clients. When she sends out greeting cards, she'll include one of her magnets. So trying to think of these products that, and again, they don't have to be fancy, but at least, even a pen, you can mail a pen. Yeah. You can mail some of these things out, so or drop them for people. So yeah, absolutely. It's still something we can use, because I think in the end, the hard part is going to be that obviously some businesses are going to disappear. However, yes, if we feel stable enough, we should at least make sure that people don't forget us.
Yep.
Make sure people don't forget. I mean, it's just having that touch point, saying, here's a pen, here's, like you said, here's the sticky notes. People love those. And yeah.
And just leading on for that, I order stuff from Amazon. I mean, I think just about all of us order some things online nowadays. But now if I want stationery, I've never ordered anything online from Staples, where I normally get my stationery. And it's an unknown, it's a hassle. Then I've got to go all the way to the store to pick it up. But if I know you, and I've done business with you before, and you've got a good lot of pens that I've used before, I'd much rather say, hey, Andrea, I need a pack of pens, can you have them delivered to me? So I guess you could score in that way over the big stores.
Yeah, and I mean, I will definitely do what I can to ensure that it's the same level of service that they've always received, because that's going to be the tricky part. Is I want to make sure that the products, that I still get to see them if possible. I want to still be able to see these products and make sure. But yeah, if people want to come back in the end and say, hey, I need exactly the same thing, that's the best part. That's why I keep going, is because of clients like that, and making it easy for them, because at this point in time, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to continue, at least another month of not being physically near people. So I'm quite happy to work with clients in that regard, saying, don't go to Staples, because I don't even know if, I think they might still be open. I'm not 100% sure, but.
No, they're closed.
Okay.
They're online only.
Okay. So if you need business cards or something like that, yeah, I mean, I can still work with you, and I'll still make sure they're in good shape. They're great for you, whatever, but you're just not going to see me. I'll be sort of invisible in the whole process, but I'm still here to help.
Oh, that's good. Kathleen, back to you.
With everything that's going on, and businesses are now changing, and there's more work from home, do you foresee that part of your business, Andrea, will change we'll have some permanent changes, or do you think it's just once everything gets back, or whatever normal might be, you'll just carry on? Do you foresee any changes or disruptions, or from your standpoint?
I mean, I think to a point, I've enjoyed being at home. I've enjoyed spending more time at home. I mean, I actually quite enjoy it, having my dog as my assistant. It's lovely. And it has been strange not attending all these networking events and going to the grocery store every couple of days and going out just because, going to a coffee shop. And I think as much as I enjoyed that life of being on the go all the time, I'm actually quite happy to spend the time at home getting work done. So I think depending on how people are going to look at the situation, you sort of have to take advantage of this time at home, because it isn't going to last forever. But I think if we can manage our time in the future, maybe we build in more home time, more time to, regardless if it's personal or business, take more time just to slow down and work on ourselves, work on our businesses, take care of things. Don't worry about the fast pace and get back into this, because who knows how long it's going to take to get back to normal, but I'm not rushing back into it. And I think if you can appreciate the downtime, you may not. Don't rush into it. It to me, this slower pace, man, I'm so much less stressed out. Love it.
Back to you, Peter.
That's good. I'm going to ask you something in a moment, but I'm going to make a prediction that this experience that so many people are having is going to be the salvation and the savior of small towns and villages, particularly in Ontario, but in rural areas all over the Western world, because it's proving how many people can work from home. And it's giving impetus for our government. They're trying hard to get high-speed internet to all the small towns and villages. And when you think of the quality of life that you can enjoy in a small town, which many people are experiencing right now for the first time, I think it's going to be marvelous for small towns and villages, many of which have got empty houses and half-occupied schools when things get back to something like normal. But what I wanted to ask you was, you mentioned networking, and I know we've met at many networking events over the years, from Mondays to all the other ones. And how do you see networking going in the future? It's been really good for you, as you mentioned, and it's been good for all of us, but there is no physical networking at the moment. So where do you see networking going down the track?
I assume, and it's funny because some of these groups I've been a member of for some of them a fairly long time, all of a sudden, you don't even hear about them anymore. Whereas I've got some other groups that have completely switched to online version, and we're doing meetings once a week. We're chatting. It's great. I think that some of these groups are genuinely just going to disappear, because if people have lost interest already and it's only been, a month and a bit, then they're going to disappear. But I think that people are going to see the value in having some of these online, these video chats, because it doesn't take as much time out of our day. You don't have to get fancy to go out. You can stay home. And I think you're going to see some of these types of meetings continue. Whereas I think that some of the other get-togethers will resume, but maybe there'll be caps on how many people attend. Maybe there's going to be sort of limits on certain types of interactions. And I think too, I mean, even I remember at the beginning of last month, people were trying to shake my hand, and I thought, no shaking, no touching. So I think we're going to have to come up with sort of a better greeting when we're back to in person. But I think just overall, they're not necessarily going to be as big of gatherings, some of them. And I think some of these online meetings will stick around, because as lovely as it is to drive a half hour to go to an event, it takes a lot of time out of our days. And if we've got a great setup to be able to stay home and do it, I think we'll continue doing some of this.
I agree.
No, I think you're right.
I think that's a great point that you've made there, Andrea, that, just for efficiency's sake, that instead of having, and then of course for the networking people to get a venue and set up everything, that this is far more efficient. It's takes less time in the day. So yeah, I can see that happen. Although I would miss a hug, because it's not a handshake I get from you. I get a hug because I get all my cards and my promotional materials from you. So you do an awesome job. We know that.
Yeah, and it is weird. It is very strange to have limited physical contact right now. We've got the people that live in our house and it's definitely strange not hugging all our friends and being around them. It's definitely strange, but yeah, I think you're right. I mean, keeping some of this up for efficiency's sake is great, but definitely getting back to some of the in-person, I think we'll all be so happy.
Well, sure. I'm on a course at the moment, and I have to drive all the way from Woodstock to Kitchener. Well, I did when it was still going, and we've switched to Zoom. And it's quite an intensive, it's only 7 or 8 of us on the course. It's quite an intensive thing, normally 2.5, 3 hours. And we always used to have dinner together and sort of ease into it. So we've missed that. I find on the really deep stuff, we don't get the same effect on a video chat. It's better than nothing. And a lot of other things are good. And I mean, we just couldn't meet with you today. So this is great. And at least we can record it for our listeners and viewers. There's a purpose to it. So I think some of the in-depth things, as you say, we will get back onto face-to-face. But I think a lot of the others will stay like this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I got another quick one for you. We're doing quite well on time at 16 minutes. So Andrea, new ideas for promotions because of this stay away. Have you got any brilliant ideas for some of our listeners who might be struggling because they can't give away pens and golf tees right at the moment? You got any brilliant ideas for them?
I mean, I think this is going to be the hard part. Is for me, I haven't actually. It's been interesting because I'm trying to follow all of my emails I get from my promotional companies, my printing companies, saying this is what's happening. There's not a lot of new ideas being circulated right now, but and I mean, I think it depends on the type of customer I've got, the type of client. There are, for instance, some of these event venues that we go to, restaurants, there's some of my suppliers have pre-made COVID-19, wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart. They've got some of these pre-made either wall decals or for the floor. So there's some things like that. Now that is an in-store. That's not to distribute. Obviously, that's not a distribution thing. But I think distributing, for instance, like I said, this magnet I'm doing for a client of mine who's a real estate agent. It's basically to put on your fridge, and it just says, "We're all in this together." Mm-hmm. So I think at this point in time, it's going to be very, very simple. I think notepads, even pens, like you said, I think really simple because, again, budgets are going to be lower, so people don't want to spend a lot of money, and realistically, wearing the clothing, I still wear my jacket when I go out with my logo on it, and my husband. It's funny when we say when we walk the dog, we're going for a team walk because we're both branded. Going for a team walk, but I think that's still a viable option if you are a small business owner and you're out doing yard work, you're walking your dog. We're not going very far, but people still see your logo and identify the brand.
Good point. So, but what about print? Email advertising and online advertising is great, but it doesn't give a tangible reminder. And you were talking about your realtor person with the magnets. So do you think if this continues for long, we'll see a resurgence in direct mail and print because it's something tangible that people can take out of their mailbox and put on the fridge or stick on the kitchen wall or put on their desk or something?
I think so. I think you're going to see more people with postcards and those big mailers you get. I think absolutely we're going to see a different quality of them. They're probably going to be a bit nicer than the usual floppy flyer you get in the mail. I think we're going to see things that are a little bit higher quality because they want to stand out. And because the markets in general, everything's changing. The real estate market's changing. Everything is changing. So I think you're going to see a little bit more competition amongst some of these industries. and all of a sudden you're going to see, like I said, some of this fancier advertising in terms of mailers. But otherwise, and I'm trying to think, I haven't actually gotten anything like that in the mail in a while. I'm surprised in a way. I wonder when those are going to start showing up, because it should be soon. But
I believe so, yeah.
But I think I've got clients who still want business cards because they're going to be mailing them out. They're going to, I don't exactly know how people are going to distribute anything. I think that's sort of up to how people are connecting with their clients. But there's a lot of different industries still operating. A lot of takeout restaurants, a lot of delivery, or what would you call it? These markets that sell all sorts of various foods. They've got things to give away as well. So I think we're just going to see different ways of handing the things out, as opposed to a general. You may see some of the mass mailings, but I think it's going to be more targeted. I think you're going to see more targeted advertising, where you're going to a specific place to pick up your dinner or to pick up an order, and you've got a postcard in there for don't forget to order next week, or hey, here's our new menu item. So maybe things like that. And quite possibly, while there's a lot of businesses are limited to curbside pickup and takeout, there's a huge opportunity for cooperative promotions when you think about it. So that absolutely,
if you can tie in with the takeaway restaurant for your car repair shop or something. Yeah, interesting. Lots of changes coming up.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Andrea. And if our viewers and listeners want to get a hold of you, what's the best way of doing that?
Oh gosh, they can send me a text message. Actually, I'm quite happy if they do that at 519-880-5256, or check out my website, ajardesignsink.ca, and ink is with a K. So if they can check out my website, you can contact me there as well.
That's a good play on words, ink with a K. And for our viewers who are watching this on YouTube, Andrea's contact details will be appearing on the bottom of your screen. And for our listeners on our podcast, if you go to our podcast site, from there you can get links to contact details for all three of us. And both Kathleen's and my contact details will be at the bottom. And that's it from the Yakking Podcast with Kathleen and myself. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.